we didn't really come prepared to encounter some of the problems that we did in those first few years. To be honest with you, I don't know how to balance it all. Watching each other grow into that, it was really, really cool. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm forgetting something. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, after 10 minutes of trying to figure out my mic, because it has always given me issues of having like background static. Anyway, we're just gonna go with it, and if there's static, apologize, but this is just how it's gonna be. So, got my mic, ready to go now. My name is Bethany, welcome to my channel. I do motherhood and lifestyle videos here on my channel, so welcome if you're new here. Today I'm doing something new. I have done mom talk videos in the past, but today I am going to be doing a wife talk video all about marriage and relationships and answering some of your guys' questions. So I'm excited. I'm a little bit nervous just because it's something new. Just a little disclaimer again, I am just answering your questions based off of my experience with my marriage and my relationships, and it doesn't mean that your relationships have to be exactly like mine, or whatever I do doesn't, necessarily mean it has to work for you. So just so you know, this is what I've done, this is how I live my life, this is, just some of my advice, but you don't have to take it. You can take it, leave it, whatever you want to do. So I asked you guys a bunch of questions on my Instagram, what you wanted to talk about in my wife talk video. So I'm gonna be answering some of your guys' questions, and I'm really, really excited. So yeah, let's just get started. Okay, let's start with maybe some lighter questions. What age did you get married? If you don't know this about me, I actually got married when I was 20 years old, and that's pretty young. Do you and your husband have a lot in common? This is actually what got us started talking, was because we had a love of the ocean, and it was like the first conversation we have was just how much we love the ocean. We actually do have a lot in common. We like to do different activities together. We're both pretty athletic, so we do like to, spend some time outdoors, running around, playing sports, things like that. We also do like to watch the same shows. We have a lot of the same humor, and so for us, it was really easy to connect when we were dating, and going into marriage, we knew that we were gonna enjoy a lot of the same things as one another, so it just helped a lot with us being able to connect. Ideas for home date nights while the kids sleep. So usually what me and my husband do at nighttime is watch a show together that we both enjoy. This is something that we've always done late at night together. We've always just watched a series or whatever and just, connect with the show. And, it's great because we can do it in our own house. Another good one, if you don't like watching TV, is you can play games together. You can do some activities like painting or drawing or things like that. I don't know. It depends on what you're interested in. But sometimes me and Luke will just go sit out on the deck and have a cup of tea or coffee and just talk and just connect that way too. So that can be like a little mini date night to connect at the end of the night. But usually we watch a show together. How do you keep your marriage top priority with 2 kids? Are dates possible? This is something that I was frustrated with for a while, and because we couldn't go on dates. And looking back, it was actually such a silly thing to be frustrated about, because in a relationship, I feel like you don't need a date night to have a healthy relationship and to be able to connect with one another. Of course, date nights are fun and they're great. And when they do happen, they're super fun. So, I highly encourage date nights. They're awesome. But for us, there was a season where we weren't able to do date nights at all. And so we just found other ways to connect. Like I said, having date nights at home, like doing things that we enjoy while the kids sleep. Dates aren't always possible. It depends what your season of life is, but that doesn't mean that you need to have them to have a healthy relationship. Oh, and how do I keep my marriage a top priority? One thing that I kind of remember when it comes to my relationship with Luke is that the kids don't come first. I know that's kind of a little bit of backwards thinking, but I love my children and they're everything to me. But if my marriage isn't good, my children's sense of security goes down, because if mommy and daddy aren't doing good, then they're not doing good. Like having kids, like as a mom, like it's 24/7, right? Like it just doesn't stop. And for him too, like being a dad is 24/7, but you know, for me, I'm a stay-at-home mom, so it's a little bit different, and I do get really tired. Even though I am taking care of my kids all day, and that takes a lot of energy out of me, I really sometimes have to push myself to just give that extra little bit to just make sure that we're, you know, connecting and things like that too. Did your relationship struggle the first few months after having a baby? Honestly, I don't think it struggled. I think some things changed, but Luke was a great support to me after having my daughter Brielle. He was someone who was really supportive, and he, you know, would always do whatever I needed him to do or whatever I asked him to do, and he was really there for me by my side. He was a very, very supportive person. I don't think our relationship struggled at all after having Brielle. I think it actually grew in a lot of really amazing ways, which I'll actually get into with another question. I'm newly engaged. What's some advice you'd give to newlywed couples? My biggest advice for a newlywed couple is grace. I'm still learning this within my marriage, and I'm always learning. I've never reached the pinnacle in my marriage. I'm always growing and always learning. And to give your spouse room to grow alongside you, you need to give them grace. And also I think too is to be able to forgive freely. There's a lot of adjustment when you first get married to someone. Some people adjust really easily with one another, and some people don't. Me and my husband, we didn't adjust very easily when we were first married. There was a span of time, which was probably the hardest in our marriage, which was the first 2 years, where we just fought like cats and dogs, to be honest with you. It was very, very difficult for us because we came from such different types of families and homes where it was hard to communicate properly, and we didn't really come prepared to encounter some of the problems that we did in those first few years. And you know what, we grew together, we learned a lot, but I think too is just openly forgiving your spouse and not becoming bitter towards things that do hurt your feelings. Having open communication, because you know, keeping stuff inside like, oh, that really bothered me when that person said that to me, does no one good, including yourself, because bitterness can start to fester within your heart. And I think that's one of the biggest things, especially I know for myself, is that I really struggled with at the beginning. So I think my biggest advice is to give each other grace and to freely forgive and have great communication and to be able to express to each other in a loving way when things bother you or things hurt you, because communication is definitely key in a successful marriage. How do you balance work, being a mom, and trying to be a good wife? How do I balance this? To be honest with you, I don't know how to balance it all. The things that I do to help myself be a little bit more balanced, me and my husband's relationship is the #1 priority. So when we have that time, I make sure that's really intentional. With being a working at home mom, I make sure that I'm not doing a lot of work when my children are awake. Like right now, my kids are sleeping right now. Like I usually don't film or edit videos when my children are awake because they need me as their mom to be attentive to them. And I try to stay off my phone as much as possible. But usually like I just realize like what is my main priority right now in this moment, and sometimes I have to reprioritize like, oh, like is it work or is it my husband? And most of the time I have to realize that my relationships are a lot more important than work sometimes. I hope that answered it. That seemed kind of confusing. Sorry. How do you keep the spark going when you're stressed out from taking care of the kids? How do you keep the spice in your marriage after having kids? About spice and sparks. I think one thing is that there's going to be different seasons in your marriage, you know, when you have children, when you don't have children. And I find it's a lot easier when you don't have children to keep the spark alive or to have a little bit more spice in your marriage, because things can be a little bit more spontaneous, or, you know, you can just do whatever because you don't have these beautiful responsibilities to take care of. The spice alive, I think just showing that you appreciate your husband in ways that he feels truly loved. And I think that that's huge because, you know, like for me, I want to serve my husband. I want to make sure, and that can like mean different things. It doesn't mean that I'm a servant, but I am, you know, someone who wants to care for him, and I want to put his needs before my own. Not always, because I'm not, but I do want to take care of him, his emotional needs, his physical needs, his spiritual needs. I really want to, you know, put those before my own so that I can serve him and be a really, you know, great partner in life with him. Or getting someone to take care of the kids and going out for a weekend where you have some alone time, uninterrupted alone time with each other. Just being able to get away from the kids sometimes can really, really help keep that spice alive. So I hope I answered that. Is it hard to let your husband take control when it comes to the kids? Yeah, for sure, because deep down I feel like I know my kids a lot more because I'm around them a lot more. So I think my pride really comes in on that sometimes, where I'm like, oh, like I know what they need right now, when I'm like, oh, I feel like he doesn't. And that's not always true, and I have to be really careful about that. He has a relationship with my children that is different than me, and you know, he knows them in a different way than I do, you know. So sometimes I just have to let him go ahead and do what he needs to do with the kids. Because you know what, me and my husband are on the same page, we're on the same team. I need my husband, I need his perspective on things, especially when it comes to the kids. Like, I need him, and I've been like, Luke, I need help. Like, can you please help me with this situation, because I feel inadequate to handle it on my own. Sometimes it depends on what it is, but most of the time I feel 100% like really proud of Luke when he's with the kids and have like no concerns at all. What is the easiest / hardest adjustment in your relationship after having babies? I think the easiest adjustment was just falling into our new roles as new parents. I knew Luke was gonna be a good father when I started dating him. He was always really good with kids, and I knew that's something I wanted in a partner. When it came to him becoming a father, I didn't have a doubt that he was gonna be amazing at it. And it's true, he's such a good dad. The easiest adjustment was watching him with Brielle, and just how he grew into such a big softie when it came to her, and just absolutely adores her. And I think we really like spurred each other on in our roles too. Like, we really encouraged each other, or like just being like, you're such a good dad, or you're such a good mom, or I see this and you're doing such a good job, or like Brielle absolutely adores you, or this or that. And just like really encouraging each other with our words was really helpful. And I think that was probably the easiest part, is just watching each other grow into that. It was really, really cool. I think one of the hardest things in our relationship is realizing how much free time we didn't have anymore, and how a lot of things just revolved around this little baby. You know, nap schedules, feeding schedules. You couldn't really do as much outside of the house as you could before. It's just something that happens when you have kids. Things change. And so I think that was probably the hardest part, and knowing that we couldn't be as spontaneous or just do things on a whim, because we had this little person to take care of now too, and their needs were important as well. So I think that was the hardest part. And also too, you know, having time alone was hard. But with one, it's easier. With two, it's harder, and so on. But yeah, I hope that answers that. Did you have your dream wedding? Yes and no. Looking back, obviously, like, I've been married for almost 6 years. And so 6 years ago, things were a little bit different. Was it my dream wedding? Absolutely. Because I got to marry my best friend. I got to start a life with someone that I absolutely and truly adored. And it was one of the best days of my life. So absolutely was my dream wedding, because I got to get married. It was great. Obviously, there's some details that I would change, you know, like maybe change my dress or the decor or things like that. But at the end of the day, like, I really didn't care too much about that stuff. And I was just really, really happy about being married at that point. I was just really excited about that. So I'd say yes, I did get my dream wedding, because I got to get married to Luke. And yeah. When you had Brielle, did your relationship with Luke get better or worse? Honestly, I can 100% say that it got better. 100%. I don't think that it got worse at all. I think things looked a little bit differently, like the way that we spent our time looked differently. But overall, I think it got so much better and so much richer, because I got to see him grow into being a father. And it was such a natural role for him that it just became so much more attractive to me. I don't know how else to describe that. It's just seeing him like be so good with our daughter was just like, my ovaries would just like burst every time, because I just loved seeing him in that role. My love for him grew so much more. So I think it got a lot better. I don't know how you'd say about me, but I'm hoping that it would, in his eyes, it was better. it depends on what's going on in your life externally that might have some influence on that. You have to realize having a baby is a big responsibility, and it does change your life forever in a lot of really amazing ways. Like sometimes it can be a shock of how much your life does change. It's not as much of a huge lifestyle change for men in some ways, because as women we give up our entire bodies for it, and we give up a lot of other things. But I think generally most people would say it gets better. I don't know your relationship, I don't know where you're at, but that's what it was for me. What is your favorite activity to do together without the kids? I think our absolute favorite thing to do together without the children is snowboarding. We actually didn't get to go last winter because I was pregnant with Kellen, and then I was also postpartum, so I couldn't go, which I was so sad about. But that's something we love to do together, and we're hoping that our kids will love to do that with us one day too. But right now it's just something that we do, just us, and it's really fun. We love it a lot. And then also too, going out for dinner is fun, or going to a movie. We really like doing that. We like the movies, so that's kind of some things that we like to do together. Okay, so that's where I'm gonna end this wife talk video. I hope you guys did enjoy it. You got to know me a bit better, and you got some good advice or information from this. I have to go because I'm realizing Kellen is awake from his nap, so I have to go. But thank you guys again so much for watching this video, and we'll see you guys in my next one. Bye. Close your eyes. Get some rest. I'm by your side. On my chest.